We've reduced our gas usage by in excess of over 90%.
We've got a 90% efficiency gain on oil.
We saved 51% on our energy bill.
We all recognise the current face of climate change, but sometimes it's difficult to relate to. This is something we can identify with, on both a business level and also on a personal one. The reality is, wind, solar and wave energy generation will only account for 12% of the world's carbon reduction in 2020, and in most cases rely on government subsidies to make them viable. We are working so hard for this 12%. However, at the moment, 40% of all our energy, our precious resources, is just going to waste. We all try our best. We turn off. We recycle. But on a domestic level alone, it is not enough.
It's not a hard thing to do. Although we're using NASA technology, the technology is there. We've got a 90% efficiency gain on oil. I'm often asked the question, particularly from my sales teams, will sustainable practices sell? Well, we actually believe, can we survive without them?
The process can initially be challenging just to convince budget holders on the return on investment. This is why monitoring and verification is very important. Once the retrofit is done, you can verify the business case and thus improving your arguments for future projects. We saved 51% on our energy bill.
I personally thought it was going to be very challenging to do any more. We have already met our 2020 climate change targets. We've exceeded them by over 50%, and we've done that 6 years early. We've reduced our gas usage by in excess of over 90%.
Our urbanised platform is deployed all across the world, from Australia through the UK and on the 4 tallest residential towers in Dubai. And it still staggers me that the opportunities are such as they are. 40% of man-made carbon emissions in the world come from buildings, and that is a huge opportunity. And working with Crowley Carbon, we're really able to save massive amounts of energy.
Over the last 5 years, across the world, we've been lucky enough to work with the world's largest companies. And what we've discovered is that it's relatively easy to reduce energy consumption by, on average, about 30%.
And Capitas can facilitate the funding for these projects through a portfolio of Tier 1 banks, such as Close Brothers, Santander, Societe Generale, Bank of London and Middle East, and others. So you don't even have to use your own cash resources.
Over a period of 2.5 years, if you invest €1 million into the bank, you only receive €50,000 at an interest rate of 2%. Now, if you invest in energy efficiency, the average payback is 2.5 years, the equivalent of a 40% interest rate in a bank. Even if you borrow the money to invest in efficiency, you still keep most of your savings, you still make money, and most of your equipment runs better and lasts longer.
We have a specific product for energy performance contracts where we cover the shortfall of any anticipated savings derived from the contract. This is underwritten by an A-rated insurance company for extra security, and they undertake a rigorous audit procedure prior to providing any terms.
One of the challenges about changing anything globally is you have to make large amounts of capital move into an area. And the problem with wind and wave and solar is that you need government incentives to make them work, otherwise they just don't perform. And so when we looked at energy efficiency, we discovered that the financial investment case was much more compelling. It reduces cost without a whole lot of investment. You can insure that investment, and not only that, it also gives a social feel good as well, that you're reducing carbon, you're improving the planet, and in the process of that, you're lowering costs.
We have a responsibility as an agricultural industry to reduce our carbon emissions, but also turn it on its head and show that Agriculture can be part of the solution as opposed to the problem.
I wouldn't want to look my grandchildren in the face one day and say I didn't do my best to make the world a better place for them.
So why not now?
Why not now?
So why not now?
Why not now?
So why not now?
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 In for Knockanish.
Why not now? Why not now?
Why not now?